All right, fellow refugees, welcome back. My name is Dave, and I am the political refugee on my new channel, which is the same as the old channel, but with a spiffy new name, which does not imply that I'm a radical, because guess what? I am the ultimate moderate right now. I am a squishy, lovable moderate. And if you don't agree with what I'm saying, I get it. There's a lot of hate on both the left and the right. And I want to talk about how Tulsi Gabbard was a better candidate than I even realized. And I'm starting to kind of backtrack a lot on some of the things that I was saying, because when you look at the world right now, you look at sort of the unhinged nature of things. When abolitionist statues are coming down, abolitionists, people that wanted to stop slavery, that's why they're calling themselves abolitionists, or at least we did. Things are unhinged. Things are completely unhinged. I feel more red-pilled than maybe I was just a few months ago. I wasn't sure. I thought I was going to be a radical Green Party activist. Defunding the police is not a solution to bad policing. Much like the COVID-19 thing, you need to kind of quarantine, isolate the bad police, get them away from everyone else so those people don't get infected. It's very similar. I know it's kind of a tortured analogy, but it works to some degree. Tulsi Gabbard was a classic liberal and moderate at the same time. She believed in doing big, bold things, but she believed in doing it by trying to persuade people to her point of view, number one. Number two, she would try to persuade with kindness. Number three, she would try to see every side of an issue, and she would try to understand your point of view and make you feel important, make you feel like you were heard. There were differing views. People had differing views when they would show up to a Tulsi Gabbard rally. But they showed up because they heard something, they felt something unique, and it can be summed up in one word, and that's integrity. Integrity. Authenticity as well. Somebody who is truly sincere and comfortable in who they are. Now, look, I got mad. There are some top Tulsi supporters who got very mad with Tulsi and have not forgiven her. And I have forgiven her. I have gone back and looked at everything and said, what else was she going to do at the end of the day? And I was saying that a little bit prior to all of this happening. She hung out with Joe Biden at one point, and she defended Joe Biden at a debate where everybody else was condemning Joe Biden as a racist and so forth. I don't think Joe Biden is a racist. I don't see that as really an issue based on, his last 20 years in public service. But I do see Joe Biden as a very flawed candidate, somebody who is cognitively in decline, and I think people need to recognize that. But as far as Tulsi saying, okay, I support the nominee. I was told to support the nominee. And obviously there might be a secondary motive as to why Tulsi Gabbard decided to do that. Look, it's the two major parties. I did a video, no one's going to watch it, but maybe you'll go and watch it after this one, where I talked about Howie Hawkins and the Green Party and how he was on with the show The Rising with Crystal and Sagar, and basically said, we may not win the presidency, but we'll have an impact. So if you're not in it to win it, if you're not in it to get on all 50 state ballots, we've got social media now, we've got YouTube, we've got resources to get people talking about a third-party candidate. But it just seems as though it's a club of people who kind of believe the same things and they're a little fringy in their approach and so forth. And you hear the word socialist too much for my liking. I mean, as much as I like some of the things that are coming down, even Tulsi Gabbard, she wouldn't consider what she's proposing socialism. She believes in capitalism with some restraints. That's what Bernie kind of believed in, even though, he's a Democrat socialist. Tulsi Gabbard was more of a Democrat pragmatist, Democrat moderate, believe it or not. Some of her views were very progressive. Others weren't. Abortion, for instance, which, again, if you're a Democrat, you've got to believe in abortion until the baby comes out. Seriously, that's what you have to. You have to believe in abortion until the baby comes out. Tulsi Gabbard, at one of the debates, said, no, I think you need some restrictions in the third trimester. Oh, heavens, that never happens. I don't know why she would use that. That's a right-wing talking point. It's not. It's not. It's common sense. It's a practical view. You're not saying you're going to ban it or abolish the procedure. You're just kind of saying if you're going to do it in the early part of the pregnancy. But that's radical now. You can't say stuff like that. But that's what the country needs, because people on the right also need to know that this person isn't a lunatic. And when they become the president, I'm not going to wake up every day like many people do on the left, just hating Donald Trump's existence. Donald Trump could get hit by a meteor today, and there would be celebrations all over the place, like joyful, gleeful celebrations. There wouldn't be like, oh man, the president of the United States is gone. Now what's going to happen? Well, number one, Mike Pence will take over, and we know how much you guys like Mike Pence, right? But this is the country we're living in right now, and Tulsi Gabbard gave us something unique. She gave us a way out of that. We like her. She wants to bring people together. She believes in unity. You can go back to Obama's speech, one of the better political speeches, and I'm not a big Obama fan at all, but this is before he became a rank partisan. And he said, there is no black America, there is no white America, there's just the United States of America. I don't know who wrote that speech for him, but it was good stuff, and he delivered it well. And it seemed like he really was this new, interesting Democrat who is going to bring the country together. We had 8 years of George W. Bush's pro-war policies. By the way, another reason to support Tulsi Gabbard is her stance on endless war. And again, her nuance on defeating terrorism. Well, there is no terrorism. Well, maybe there is. Maybe there is some terrorism that we need to watch out for. Maybe you can't just discount it all. Now, do I want to bring lots of troops home? Yes, but so does she. She was the only one in that primary advocating for it. But she also understood the military's role in curtailing terrorist organizations and terrorist cells. And I didn't like that for a little while. I think I've gotten over that because her stance is far better than anyone else's stance, even Trump. And Trump, I think, his tendencies are to not go to war at the drop of a hat. He made some kind of an out loud statement, which I thought was really interesting, where he's trying to be all cute about it, but it's not cute subject, where he said, I considered doing this, but I wasn't willing to kill 1 million people. He was basically calling out that was a very interesting way of looking at these military insiders and saying, no, not doing the collateral damage thing, not doing it. Now, you may hate Trump with all your heart, soul, and mind, whatever, but that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. That was kind of like, not only am I going to tell these guys I'm not doing it, but I'm going to out them and say, well, their strategy is so bad, 1 million people would have died. So that was an interesting moment, and it would make people think to themselves, Trump is better on anti-war stuff than Joe Biden is. So the hope might be in the future that Tulsi Gabbard gets a hold of Joe Biden and says, hey, what are you doing? But maybe not. Maybe she doesn't get any kind of position within that administration. I don't know. And it's not a done deal that Biden's going to win this. Right now, it's June, and elections can change on a dime. People want security. They don't want, and that's why Joe Biden is not running on defunding the police. He's not running on these so-called progressive platforms. He's running on, I'm nice. And nice is working. On Twitter, people are like, oh, it's going to be so much better because we have nice, friendly Joe Biden who can't complete a sentence, but he's nice. And that's how much people want to get back to the idea of presidential decorum. And what I don't understand is why the Democratic Party quickly dismissed Tulsi Gabbard, although it has to do with her foreign policy and the fact that she ticked off Hillary Clinton in 2016 and continued to do so during the campaign, by the way. But that thing is a truce now. Tulsi withdrew the lawsuit. Tulsi has been praised in the neoliberal media for saying, okay, Joe Biden, he's a nice guy. He and his wife, I like him. And their son. See, she always brings it back to relationships. I had a relationship with this person. I know them. I've talked to them. Tulsi gives people the benefit of the doubt, especially when they haven't done anything wrong to her. Don't cross Tulsi Gabbard, though, because she'll walk right out of an interview like she did with PBS on the radio, which was awesome, by the way. NPR. PBS, NPR, same thing. So, yeah, this is a time where we need a peacemaker. We need a Martin Luther King. We need a Gandhi. But instead we've got and not that Biden is, that sort of angry guy, but people are even progressives, the ones that say never Biden, never Biden. They're going to hear little promises that this is going to happen or that's going to happen. And they're going to go over. And for Tulsi Gabbard fans, some of them might go over too, just because, hey, Tulsi, she's over here. Maybe she's going to get into this administration. Maybe she can affect some kind of change. And people will lean on that little hope because it's better than no hope. Tulsi Gabbard, it's like pixie dust. It's like a little bit of hope. It's a little glimmer. So I'll take my chance on the glimmer. Maybe she can change the minds of all of these people. I doubt it, but maybe she can. And that's why people are willing to even vote for Joe Biden. I'm not voting for Joe Biden. I don't know what I'm going to... Actually, let me rephrase this. I've said on here, if Joe Biden picked Tulsi Gabbard, I'd vote for Joe Biden. Because number one, Joe's not going to be around that much longer in a cognitive way in order to actually talk to people and be the front man for the presidency, because that's what he would be at that point. He's just a figurehead. Presidents are largely just figureheads anyway, and they're just representing the inner workings of the government, the national security state. That's what they do. Trump is kind of a strong man in that regard because he doesn't like it. You could tell. He rails against it. He's been told you need this guy in your cabinet, you need this person, and those people get fired, and then he's got to hire new people, and he's had a lot of turnover, not because he's really hard to get along with, but because these people don't share his ideology. And I'm not giving Trump more credit than he deserves, but if you look at what Trump has done to the Republican Party, he's pulled them to the left to some degree. But his rhetoric seems like it's on fire every day. And there are a lot of people in our country who will say, look, let's just trade this buffoon, this orange madman in for the senile guy who's nice. And then they'll work it out. They'll put someone else in there, but we just got to get rid of Trump. And what's irritating is you had a candidate who was real, who could walk and chew gum at the same time, who was young, who would have broken like 3 glass ceilings at the same time, who truly cared about our men and women in uniform, because she would have brought them home, and then she would have made their life when they got back home better through the VA and through other means, because she is one. She is a military person. She is currently in the military. So she relates, she empathizes. You had, a quadruple threat and you just ignored it. She went on MSNBC and got trashed. She went on Fox News, got trashed. No matter where she went, it was Syria and Assad questions and, is he a dictator? Is he not? And meanwhile, you got, again, all of these domestic problems and these talking heads trying to play gotcha with foreign policy. Half the country, more than half the country, doesn't care or doesn't know. But yet you're going to make her sound like she's way out of the mainstream. But when you ask ordinary citizens and you phrase it correctly, they're going to say, no, we should, if we don't have really a mission in this country, whatever country it is, and there are like 6 or 7 of them, maybe more, that we're currently heavily involved with right now, most Americans are going to say, can't we bring some of that money home? I can't pay my mortgage. And, maybe if there were a program to help people out temporarily anyway, to help us pay our bills. That's what Tulsi Gabbard was advocating throughout the campaign. Bring the troops home. We bring the money back home, and then we can figure out what to do with that money once we get it back home. So, yes, Tulsi Gabbard, I did a video, the Ultimate Moderate video. This one is basically sort of a bookend to that video, talking about how Tulsi Gabbard is the kind of politician right now that we need. She was the only politician, only candidate running for president whose mission, part of her mission, was to actually bring people together. There's nobody else running currently that wants to bring people together. They'll say they want to bring citizens together who are already under their tent. Trump, I want the country to unify around him and his message. But Americans need to unify even if they disagree at this stage. And if they don't, we're going to spiral into more chaos and more anarchy. And the people on the hard left, who I think are the biggest problem right now, I hate to say it, but they are, they're not going away quietly. They feel as though the entire system, the way the government began, which it's really old news. We should have been on this about 150 years ago, but we're just getting around to it now. But in any event, it's being used to kind of make everybody feel bad about where they live and about all the injustices. And there are things that we cannot cure. We might be able to move in a different direction, but I think society as a whole has to acknowledge that this is an imperfect union. And it always will be, because you have flawed human beings running the show. So in any event, it'd be nice if we could get Tulsi Gabbard on the ballot somewhere for president. If you're in a state where you can write in Tulsi Gabbard's name, I think there are 10 states, you should start a petition just to say, instead of voting for the status quo, make a statement. Because if you're going to make a statement with a really high quality candidate that's inspirational. I'm told that, the Libertarian candidate and the Green Party candidate, it's better to vote for either one of them than the other two parties. But neither one of those candidates is inspirational or charismatic or interesting. They're both very boring. And yeah, there's some truth to that, unfortunately. All right, so done with this video. Don't forget to subscribe to these videos. Also, Patreon. Yes, the little logo in the upper right, if you want to give $1 or $2 a month to help keep this channel going. This channel was making about 50 cents a day. Now we're up to $3 a day, so I'm rolling in the clover here. But I need more help. I need your support. I'm not all that inspired to post videos. I would like to see a little bit of a revenue bump and maybe a few subscribers. I'd like to get to 8,000 subscribers. I've been stuck where I'm at now for quite some time. I promise I'll try to keep some Tulsi content going here and there, not all the time, but those are the most viewed videos because people are inspired by Tulsi Gabbard. They're not inspired by me. It's Tulsi. All right, I'm done. See you soon. Thanks for watching.